Hi everyone, welcome to Elemental Flows. My name is Christina and thank you for joining me on the mat today. Today I have a full body strength and stretch flow prepared for you. So it will engage the core a bit because there is quite a bit of balancing and twisting postures, but I think you guys will enjoy it and feel quite energized after doing this flow. So let's get started. We'll start today by lying down on the mat on our stomachs. So just bring yourself down. You can have both hands at the top of the mat and rest the forehead on your hands. And we'll begin today's practice just by taking some deep breaths here. So I want to inhale, breathe in through the nostrils, and exhale out through the mouth. Take a couple more deep breaths here, following your own pace and rhythm to settle into your body and this practice. And we'll begin our flow today first by just taking the left knee out to the side and bending it on a 90-degree angle. So the rest of the body stays exactly where it is. In this pose, we're just opening up into the hip here gently. Notice where you may be holding any tension and just try to breathe into the space and relax the body. Now bring that left leg back to meet the right. And let's now bend into that left knee and reach around with our left hand so we can grab hold of the foot. And while we're here, we're thinking about bringing that foot closer towards us as we press the foot into that left hand. Now let's gently release the foot. The hand can come back to the top of the mat. We'll keep that left knee bent, and now we'll just send that foot over to the right side so the toes meet the floor, or you can also place a block underneath the foot to bring the floor a bit closer to you. Try to relax as much as you can in this position. And then gently bring yourself back to neutral, and we'll repeat that on the other side. So we'll start by just bending that right knee out to the side on a 90-degree angle and allowing the body to relax here. Now let's take that right leg and bring it back to meet the left. We'll now bend into the right knee and reach around with our right hand to grab hold of the foot if we can reach it. And then while we're here, we're pressing into that hand while we're bringing the foot closer towards us. Gently release the foot, and now we'll keep that knee bent and then just turn so that the right leg or the right foot comes to meet the left side of the floor. You can use a block here. You can also keep the foot lifted here if you can't reach all the way around. And gently guide your body so that it comes back to neutral position. Now from here, we'll take the hands and move them so that they're on either side of the chest. And we'll gently press into the hands to slowly lift the chest off of the mat. You don't have to go too far here. Gaze is forward and neutral. And on an exhale, bring the chest back down. We'll repeat that a couple more times. So on an inhale, let's lift the chest. See if you can get a little bit higher this time. But don't force it. This is supposed to be a gentle movement. And exhale, bring the chest back down. One more time. Inhale, let's lift. Exhale to release. And now this time on the inhale, lift the chest up. And if you want to add an additional variation to this pose, you can send the arms behind you so that they're along the body. Press the inner thighs together and lift the feet off of the mat. Hold it here for a couple of breaths. And then exhale, release yourself back down to the ground. Excellent. Now let's bring the hands forward so that we can press into the hands to lift ourselves off of the mat. And we'll go into a child's pose. You could take a closed-legged or wide-legged version. Just walk the hands forward, make sure the big toes are together, and bring the forehead down to the mat. Let's bring ourselves back up. We walk the hands back towards us. Bring the knees together if you had them separated. And then from here, on an inhale, let's reach up with our arms. And on an exhale, we twist towards the left and lower the arms down. The left hand goes towards the back while the right rests on that left thigh. Think about keeping the shoulders down, away from the ears in this pose. And let's come back to face the top of the mat. The arms come up once again. And this time on an exhale, we turn towards the right and we drop the arms down. Good, and come back up to face the top of the mat. Now from here, drop the arms and interlace the fingers behind you, and then press them down towards the floor as we open up the chest here. Look towards the sky. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can lift the hips off of the floor, bring the hands towards the low back, and then gently arch the spine as we lift the chest towards the sky. Take the variation that you feel calls to today. And then exhale, release. Everyone come back down. Good, let's come into a tabletop position. So our shoulders are over our wrists here, hips are over our knees. And then from here, I want you to tuck the toes underneath you, engage the core, press into the hands and toes so that we can lift the knees about an inch or so off of the mat. Hold it here for a moment. Keep breathing while in this pose. And then on an exhale, let's lift the hips up and back to come into our first downward facing dog. So readjust yourself as you need. It's our first downward dog of the practice, so feel free to take any additional movements that you need here to open up the different spaces of your body. And then come to find stillness when you're ready. Let's look towards the top of the mat and then walk the feet towards the hands. On an inhale, we'll press the hands into the shins to come up to a flat back. Exhale, let's release, chest meets the thighs. And then on an inhale, let's root through the feet first before we come up to a standing pose with arms following up overhead. Press the palms together and bring them down through heart center. Excellent. Let's do a couple of rounds of sun salutations to warm up here. So on an inhale, let's reach up with our arms. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, press the hands into the shins to come up to a flat back. Exhale, release, hands meet the mat. Step back into your plank position. You can lower down to your knees here if you like. On an exhale, let's bend at the elbows to lower down through our chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up to come into upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to release the chest back down. Let's tuck the toes, press into the hands to come back into a downward facing dog. Hold it here for a breath. Then look towards the top of the mat and then walk the feet to the hands. On an inhale, press the hands into the shins to come up to a flat back. Exhale, we release, forward fold. Ground through the feet first before coming up to a standing pose. On an inhale, arms reach up overhead. Press palms together, bring them down through heart center. Let's go again. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, release, hands meet the mat. We step back into a plank pose. Lower the knees if you need here. Bend at the elbows to lower down through your chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up for upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to release the chest back down. Let's tuck the toes, press into the hands to come back up into a downward facing dog. Hold it here for a breath. And then look towards the top of the mat and walk the feet to the hands. On an inhale, let's press up to a flat back. Exhale, we release, forward fold. Ground through the feet first before coming up to standing. On an inhale. And exhale, bring the hands down through heart center. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, we release. Hands meet the mat. Bring the feet back to a plank pose. Exhale to lower down, bend at the elbows. Inhale to slide the chest forward and up for upward facing dog or cobra. Lower the chest back down, tuck the toes, press into the hands to send the hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Take a moment here. Now from here, let's lift that right leg into the sky, then bend the knee and bring it forward towards the top of the mat so we can place that foot down in between the hands. We lower that left knee down on the mat, swing the arms forward and up to come into our low lunge. Hold it here. Make sure the shoulders are away from the ears here and sink deeper into the hips. Good. From here, let's send the hips towards the back of the mat as we straighten that right leg. The right foot is flexed here. And let's elongate our spine over that right leg as we come into our half split. From here, come forward again, bend into that right knee and come back up into your low lunge. This time we will twist towards the left and drop the arms so that they're at shoulder height to come into this open twist here. So usually we twist over to the other side, but today I want you to open up the chest and hips here. And now from here, we'll drop that right hand down to the mat as we take the left arm up to the sky. Now from here, we're going to drop that left hand so that it comes down to the mat. And now we'll take that right arm up to the sky and we'll twist on the other side. And from here, let's bend into that left knee so the foot lifts off of the mat. We send that right arm towards the back and try and grab hold of the foot if you can to come into the stretch. So we're still keeping our twist here. So still think about turning the torso and chest up towards the ceiling. And we're thinking about pressing that left foot into the right hand. Now gently release the foot back down to the ground. Let's tuck the toes of the left foot so we can lift the knee off of the mat. And now we send that right arm up to the sky for a twist. Good. Now let's drop that right hand back down on the mat. Press into the hand so we can lift the right foot. Send it towards the back. Let's go through our vinyasa. So lower yourself down to the mat. Bend the elbows. On the inhale, send the chest forward and upward. Upward facing dog or cobra. Release the chest back down. Tuck the toes. Press into the hands to come back into downward facing dog. Good work, everyone. We're going to repeat that sequence on the other side. So this time, let's send that left foot into the sky. And on an exhale, we bend the knee, bring it forward, and drop that foot down on the mat as we lower the back knee. On an inhale, we swing the arms forward and up to come into our low lunge. Make sure that the left knee is directly over the ankle here. And again, we're thinking about sinking those hips and sending them forward. From here, let's shift ourselves. We send the hips towards the back as we straighten that left leg. Flex that left foot and elongate yourself over that left leg. We think about bringing the crown of the head closer to the foot as opposed to curling the head into the thigh. From here, let's come forward once again. Send the arms forward and up. See if you can sink a little bit deeper this time. And now let's turn the torso towards the right as we lower the arms to shoulder height for an open twist. Now bring that left hand down on the mat on the inside of that left foot as we send the right arm into the sky. Now let's drop that right hand back down to the mat, and this time we press into the right hand as we lift that left arm into the sky. While we're here, we're thinking about twisting from our entire torso. So not necessarily just from the shoulders, but from the low back as well. Now from here, let's bend that right knee, reach back with the left hand to grab hold of that right foot if you can. If you can't, just hold it here as you try to reach. But if you have hold of your foot, think about pressing that foot into the left hand here as you deepen the hips. Send them further towards the ground. Now gently release that back foot. Let's tuck the toes of the right foot, press into the hand so we can lift that right knee off of the mat, and then send that left arm into the sky. Good work, everyone. Let's drop that left hand down to the mat, press into the hand so we can lift the left foot and bring it towards the back. Let's go through our vinyasa. I'm going on my knees for this one. Bend into the elbows to send yourself down to the mat. Slide the chest forward and up for upward facing dog or cobra. Release the chest, tuck into the toes, press into the hands, send the hips back and up for upward or for downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here just to reset. Now from here, let's bring that right foot into the sky. Hips are square at first. And on an exhale, we bend the knee to open up that hip. Make sure that your shoulders are still square to the mat. On an inhale, let's extend that right leg back into the sky. And this time on the exhale, bend the knee and bring it forward. Send it to the top of the mat. Place that foot down in between the hands and lower that left knee. Let's come back up into our low lunge. Hold it here and see if you can sink a little bit deeper this time. Now let's tuck the toes of the left foot and press into the right foot so we can lift the left knee off of the floor to come into our high lunge. Make sure that right knee is still directly over the ankle here and shoulders are away from the ears. And now we'll open up the hips and chest to meet the long edge of the mat. The back heel drops as we lower the shoulders. Turn the head so that it faces towards the top of the mat to come into our warrior two. Our gaze is just past the fingertips here. Now let's straighten that front leg. Now we'll reach forward until we can reach no further. And then I want you to drop that right hand down on the mat as you send the left arm up to the sky to come into our triangle pose. While we're here, you can also place the block underneath your right hand if you want to bring the floor a little bit closer to you. And while we're here, we're thinking about elongating out through both sides of the torso. So we're not crunching in into the right side here. Now let's bend into that right knee and we swing that left arm down towards the mat, then up to come into our side angle pose. So you can keep the hand on the floor or on the block here, or you can lift up the arm and place the forearm on the right thigh. Take whichever variation works for you today. But while we're here, I want you to think about turning the chest still towards the ceiling. Good. Now from here, let's drop the hands back down to the mat. We turn ourselves so that we face the mat. And I want you to take a couple of steps in so you can transfer the weight onto your right leg here. Now straighten that leg as you lift the left foot up behind you and try to get it so that the left foot is parallel to the floor here and the foot is flexed so the toes are facing the mat. We're coming into our warrior three. So if you're working on your warrior three, you could keep the hands on the floor or even use a block here. But if you have your warrior three, try to bring the hands off of the mat and find your stability here. You could take any variation you want, so you could send the arms back or send the arms forward or play with the different variations. You can see I'm a bit wobbly today. That's okay. I want you to work with the wobbles. And try and explore your body. Try something new if you haven't tried it before. Good. And then from here, let's bend into that right knee so we can bring that left foot back to meet the mat to come back into our high lunge. Nice work, everyone. Let's drop the hands towards the mat, press into the hands so you could send that right leg back, and let's go through our vinyasa. So lower down to the mat. Slide the chest forward and up on an inhale. Exhale to release. Tuck the toes, press into the hands, and send the hips up and back to a downward facing dog. You can tell I'm breathing here. My body's working. I told you this might be a bit of a challenge, so again, make sure to take any variations that you want and make it your practice. So if you need to take breaks or do a different pose than what I'm guiding you through, that's completely okay. Make this your own and give your body what it needs. All right, now let's repeat that sequence on the other side. So we start by first lifting that left leg off of the floor. Hold it here, make sure that the hips are square. And then on an exhale, we bend the knee to open up the hips. Still make sure that the shoulders are square here. Now let's straighten that leg once again into the sky. And this time on an exhale, we bring the knee forward towards the top of the mat. Place that foot down in between the hands and lower that back knee down to the mat. Send the arms forward and up to come into your low lunge. Again, see if you can go a little bit deeper from when you first did this. And from here, let's tuck the back toes, press into the left foot so we can lift that right knee off of the mat to come into our high lunge here. Hold it for a couple of breaths. Now let's open up the chest and hips to the long edge of the mat as we drop the back heel down and lower the shoulders. Turn the head so that the gaze is just past the fingertips here in our warrior two. From here, let's extend that left leg so that it's straight. We tilt ourselves forward until we can go no further. And then we drop that left hand down on the mat as the right arm extends up to the sky. And again, use the block here if you need. Make sure both legs here are straight and engaged. Now bend into that left knee. Let's bring that forearm up on the thigh if you're choosing this variation. And we swing that right arm down and up to come into our side angle pose. Again, you can keep the left hand on the floor or on a block if you prefer. Think about reaching out through those right fingertips in this pose. Now let's drop the hands down to the mat as we turn ourselves to face the mat. Let's take a couple of steps in with that right foot so we can transfer all of the weight onto our left leg. And now let's, when you have your balance, start to lift that right leg off of the floor. Keep that right foot flexed. Bring it so that it's about parallel. And come into whatever variation of warrior three you're choosing today. Engage the core here as it will help you. And try to think elongating all the way from that right heel, all the way out through the crown of the head. Hold it for 3, 2, 1. And now let's gently bend that left knee so we can bring that right foot down to meet the mat. Swing the arms forward and up to come back into your high lunge. See if you could go a little bit deeper this time. And then let's bring the hands down to the mat. Press into the hands so we can send the left leg back. And let's go through our vinyasa. So bend the elbows, lower yourselves down. On an inhale, slide up to upward facing dog or cobra. Relax the chest, tuck the toes, and go back into your downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Good. Now from here, let's look towards the top of the mat. And we'll walk the feet in to meet the hands. On an inhale, let's press the hands into the shins to come up to a flat back. Exhale, release, chest meets the thighs. Now from here, bring your feet so that they are together and the big toes are touching. And then on an inhale, we're going to take a deep bend in the knees and send the arms forward and up to come into our chair pose. So our gaze is right out in front of us here. Think about elongating the spine. There being a long line from your hips all the way out through the crown of the head and the fingertips. And from here, let's release. Let's extend the legs, just straighten them. The chest meets the thighs. Take a breath here. And now this time, let's take a deep bend again in the knees. We're going to a modification of chair. So the arms are just coming out in front of us this time. Try to find your stability in this pose. And then transfer the weight over to your right foot so that you can lift your left knee up towards the chest as you straighten that right leg. And once you find your stability in the standing pose, you can grab hold of your shin here. Again, engage the core. Think about there being a long line from that right heel all the way out through the crown of the head. From here, grab hold of the shin with the right hand and then try to extend that left arm towards the back of the mat. If you have your balance, see if you can add the head and turn it towards the back. Again, keep focusing on your core here. It will help stabilize you. And if you want a bit more of a challenge here, you could think about extending your leg out in front of you, or even grabbing hold of it if you have it. I don't, so I'm not going to do it. And everyone, let's turn our gaze again back towards the top of the mat. I'm wobbling a bit here, that's okay. Find your stability again, engage the core. And then for a bit of a challenge, try to extend that left leg out in front of you. It's okay if your leg's here. I just want you to try maintaining a straight leg. Good. And now from here, let's swing that left leg towards the back of the mat as we fold over. The hands meet the mat as we come into our standing split. The hip is open here. See how much height you can get out of that left foot. Release that left leg, bring it down so that it meets the right. One last stretch here. We're going to bend into our left knee. Both feet are still on the ground. So the right leg is straight. Left hand is on the ground as we open up to the right side and lift that right arm into the sky. Drop that right hand back down to the mat. Now both hands are on the mat. Send the feet back to come back into our plank. And let's go through our vinyasa. So on an exhale, lower down. Inhale to come up to upward facing dog or cobra. Release the chest, come back into a downward facing dog. Now let's look towards the top of the mat and walk the feet to the hands. We're going to repeat that sequence on the other side. So we start by first coming up to a flat back on an inhale. Exhale, we release, chest meets the thighs. Now make sure the big toes are together. And on an inhale, let's take a deep bend in the knees as we swing the arms forward and up to come into a chair pose. Hold it here, engage the core, keep the shoulders away from the ears. See if you can go a little bit further with that bend. And exhale to release, straighten the legs, fold forward. You know what's coming next, so once again on an inhale, let's take a deep bend in the knees. This time the arms are out in front of us. Hold it here. Engage the core, start to transfer the weight over to that left leg. And then on an inhale, when you're ready, extend that left leg as you bring that right knee up towards your chest. Keep the core engaged here. Think about standing tall. And then from here, that left hand holds on to the shin as we extend that right arm towards the back of the mat. And if you have the stability or want to try it, try to change your focus and turn your gaze to everyone faces forward again. Everyone extends their leg out in front of them as you lift your arms up to the sky. Make sure you have a straight line in your back, or a straight line from the heel all the way out through the crown of the head. Fight for height here, fight for the lift. And then on an exhale, let's swing that right leg through towards the back of the mat as we hinge at the hips to fold forward and lift that right leg up to come into a standing split. Take a couple of breaths here. See how much lift you can get out of that leg. Try different variations if this is easy for you. And then let's gently lower that right leg down to the mat. Now let's bend into the right knee. That left leg remains straight. We lift that left arm up to the sky and come into a twist here. Lower that left hand down to the mat. Let's walk the feet or step them back to come into a plank and go through our vinyasa. Inhale to upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to downward facing dog. Nice work, everyone. Find your center again. Find your breath if you lost it. And now let's slowly bend the knees and lower ourselves gently down to the mat. And let's press back into a child's pose just to reset. Bring yourself back up and we'll come into a tabletop position. So let's start. So shoulders are over the wrists, hips are over the knees here. Engage the core and lift your left leg back out behind you and then lift it up so that it's about parallel to the floor. Notice how your body changes to adjust its weight to hold yourself as you do this. And when you're ready, extend that right arm out in front of you. Hold it for a breath. And then on an exhale, bend the elbow and knee, bring it into the chest. On an inhale, extend the leg and arm back out. And now let's bring the hand and foot down to the mat. We're going to turn so that our hips and chest face the long edge of the mat. Our left arm extends up and over towards the top of the mat. You can see that my left heel is dropped, so it's resting on the floor as I take the stretch here. Take a couple of breaths. Now press into the right hand so you can lift yourself up. We're going to change positions. So this time the right arm is extending up and over and going over towards the left leg or the back of the mat. Again, think about turning the chest towards the ceiling here. And let's bring that right hand back down to the mat. As we do so now, the left leg lifts so that's parallel to the floor, and we extend that left arm into the sky. Gaze is turned up towards the ceiling. Now from here, let's bend that left knee, and if you can, bring that left hand back so that it reaches the foot, and then try to arch through the entire spine as we press the foot into the hand. Good, and gently release, bring everything back down, reset in a quick child's pose, and then we'll do it on the other side. So come meet in a neutral tabletop pose. And then from here, send that right leg towards the back of the mat and then lift it. Find your balance here. Engage the core. And then once you feel steady, lift that left arm out in front of you. On an exhale, let's bend the elbow and knee into the chest. And on an inhale, extend the leg and arm back out. Now let's drop that back foot down. Drop the hand. We turn so that the hips face towards the outer edge of the mat. The left or the right heel goes down. And then on an inhale, we reach that right arm towards the top of the mat. Hold the stretch here. Think about extending out through those fingertips. And then push yourself off of that left hand so you could come on up. We reverse the direction. So this time we take the left arm up and over towards the back of the mat. Now let's come back down. That left hand meets the mat again. And this time we lift that right leg up off of the floor as the right arm extends up to the sky. And if you want more of a challenge here, bend that right knee and send the right arm towards the back so that it catches your foot. And then let's arch the spine as we press the right foot into that right hand. Good, and now slowly release the foot, bring that hand down to the mat, and press back into a child's pose. Let's lift ourselves back up, and we'll send the legs out in front of us. We're coming to the end of our practice here. So from here, keep the feet flexed, and on an inhale, we reach the arms up overhead, and exhale, we fold. Now lift yourself back up. Let's bend the left knee close in towards the chest. The foot remains on the ground. We take the left hand back behind us, and then we turn or twist towards the back of the mat. Now you can stay here, or if you want to add a bit more of a challenge, take that right hand and grab hold of your left foot with it, and then extend that leg out in front of you as you keep turning towards the back of the mat. The left arm can remain planted here, or you can extend it out towards the back of the mat. Maintain the integrity of the spine. Make sure you're not hunching in. And then we release in 3, 2, 1. Gently release the foot back down. Let's take a quick fold here. Reach the arms up overhead. Come back up, and we'll repeat on the other side. So bend the right knee into the chest. We take the right hand behind us as we twist over to the right. Now you can stay here, or if you want to add a bit more of a challenge, take hold of that right foot in your left hand and then extend that leg out in front of you. And then you can lift that right arm and send it towards the back of the mat while maintaining the twist. We release in 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower yourself, or slowly lower the leg back down as you turn towards the top of the mat. Now from here, bring the knees into the chest and just give yourself a nice hug here. Thank yourself for showing up in this practice today and giving your body what it needs. Now gently release. Let's extend the legs out in front of us. Extend the arms out in front of you as well. Engage the core as you slowly lower yourself down to the mat inch by inch. Once you're there, you can readjust yourself. And we'll take a couple of final postures here. So bend the knees. Make sure the feet are about hip width distance apart. Press into the hands and the feet. Engage the core as you lift the hips off of the mat. And again, you can take a block here for additional support if you need, and just place it underneath your hip bones here. Slowly lower your hips back down. Remove the block if you had it. And we'll take the knees into the chest. And then bring the knees out so that they are shoulder width apart. We bring the soles of the feet up to the ceiling to come into our happy baby. So the arms reach on the inner thighs and then grab hold of the outer edges of the feet. And then we think about pressing the feet down so that we can bring the knees a bit closer to the floor. You could add some rocks here if that feels good for your practice. And then from here, let's gently release the feet and lower everything back down to the mat. We take one final stretch here just by extending our arms overhead and elongate the entire body. And then exhale, release. Let's find Shavasana. That is all for our practice today. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I definitely found it a bit of a challenge. I hope you did too and got to explore your body a bit more. Let me know how this practice was for you in the comments, and feel free to stay in Shavasana a little bit longer if you like. But otherwise, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you at the next one. Bye for now.